Part of our physical science class, we study science, and science is the really acquiring knowledge about how things work at the basic level, the core level, where you have matter and energy. In this chapter we were studying in physical science had to do with thermal energy, heat and temperature. So we had just finished that chapter, and you know, as a teacher, you're always looking for teachable moments, things that occur, things that happen can tie the whole thing together. And as a teacher, what we like to do is not only focus on the science part of the acquiring knowledge and understanding, but also the technology of it. And students really need to understand that science and technology go hand in hand. What is science to you guys? What is science? You've been in physical science now for about 3 years.
For me, I kind of see science as the study of everything around us, and technology is the application of what we learn through science. And most of the time, we use science for uncovering things that we don't know, or even learning more about stuff that we want to know.
How we act in our environments, how we're made up, right? Science, life science, physical science. We've been studying physical science, right? Biological science, health science. It's all the study of things that happen in nature. Okay? That's science, right, Shannon? If that's science, what's technology?
And technology, we kind of take everything that we learned and apply it to a real world thing. Like, say the study of like how light works, we could use that for, say, a flashlight, or the study of how heat works for like the infrared camera that Mr. Doyon showed us. Technology
is applying what you learn in science to practical means, to improve something, to make it better, to gain a better, to make life easier.
The improvement on science is very impacting on technology today, because without that improvement in science, we would not be able to create the technology that has helped us in so many situations.
They were looking at the radiation from his body in the boat. And yes, they used a thermal imaging camera. You guys know I'm a member of the fire company. This is the thermal imaging camera that they used. This is the thermal imaging camera that they used. Now I hope it comes on, of course. Give me a second.
Oh my God.
Okay. This is a thermal imaging camera that we use in our fire department. Now we have 3 of them. This is a very special one. This is a very special one.
So recently, Mr. Doyon brought in an infrared scope camera to detect heat rays.
Or dark, which means there's very little heat, and we use it in the fire department all the time for both looking, if there's a fire scene, we look for hot spots using that camera, or for search and rescue. Well, it just so happens the teachable moment came about that the tragic event in Boston where they had the Boston Marathon bombing. And the way they located the second bomber was he was suspected of hiding in a boat.
They went in their helicopter and they were able to look through the scope and see that the guy, which is the guy who did the bombings, was in this boat because the boat was cold. It didn't have any heat because it doesn't have the heat a normal person would have. And they saw a white figure inside, which is why they got to see that there was a person inside there.
Sometimes science can raise more questions than answers, and in this science class, we kind of not only learned more about heat, but it also raised more questions on how heat could affect not just our environment around us, but just each of us individually. And the transfer of heat between 2 people, and it's kind of weird because it kind of connects all of us in a strange way.
They were using this. They wanted to know if he was in it, but they don't want to go in there. They don't know if he's got a bomb or a gun or anything else like that. They flew the helicopter over and gave the heat signature. Now let me ask you, can you see heat? Not with your own eyes, but with this you can see the infrared. Here's what I did. I set up a little scenario back here. I've got 2 boxes in the back. Both of those boxes have hot plates in them. And technology, the thermal imaging camera, to a current event that just happened. So I was able to bring in the thermal imaging camera and let students look into it. We put a box in the back. Actually, we put 2 boxes in the back of the room, and one had a hot plate on it with hot water, and the other one had a beaker full of ice cubes. And we asked the student to look through the box and tell us which one had heat in it, just like they were looking in through the thermal imaging camera, looking into the boat to look for the suspect. And then we talked about how that relates to what they had learned, heat and temperature and technology, and how that we were able to take this scientific approach to develop a tool, the technology, to actually look at heat.
And the box is hot too. There's the hot one. Henry, go back and lift the other box up, please. Yeah, you can sit down. There's the ice. So without knowing what's inside the box, Sarah was able to see the heat.
Now, science is just
See the
not about
infrared.
acquiring knowledge.
Okay,
It's not
come on.
something that they just take all this data that's in books and then put it away when they're done, but that they actually apply it in some sort of a technology that then they can put to a practical means.
Technology can also be used to help us learn more about science. It's kind of like applying science to help us learn more. Microscopes, even the Hubble telescope, things like that, which can help further our understanding and make even better technology in the future.